Hi, good morning. And today I'm going to share with you from a couple of verses in the book of Genesis. And it's about a story about a man called Jacob. And many of you may have heard about Jacob before. Some of you have gone to Sunday school and heard about Jacob and Esau. And today I just want to share a little story with you. And it is my prayer that it will touch your heart and it will bring not only encouragement, but it would also bring change. The story of Jacob began around Genesis chapter, let's say about 25. And I'm going to read a couple of verses and then, in the interest of time, because I don't want to go over like 10 minutes with this video, I will not read everything, but you will get the gist of the story. So in Genesis 25, in verse 29 it is, and apparently Jacob was cooking stew. Esau had just come in and was hungry. And here's what happened. Once when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished, meaning really hungry. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." And that is why he was also called Edom. That's what the Bible says. I'm reading from the New International Version. If you have a King James, it will read a little differently. And in 31, Jacob said, "First sell me your birthright." And 31, this is what Esau's reply was. 32 is what Esau replied and said, "Look, I'm about to die." Esau said, "What good is the birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. And then in verse 34, it says, "Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank, then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright." That's one scenario. Now I'm going to go to Genesis 27, and here's what happened now. In chapter 27 now, Jacob and Esau's father is about to die, and he asks that Esau, who's the older son, to bring him some stew, because he was able to make stew and all that. And the mother, who overheard his father asking for the stew, went and got Jacob and made Jacob appear to be Esau, and tricked the father because he was now blind, he couldn't see. That's the whole story. You got to read this story in Genesis 27. Anyhow, Jacob went and made the stew for his father while Esau went to get everything. The mother did the stew herself and tricked Isaac. And here's what happened. Now, after Jacob gave the stew to his dad, in comes Esau now, and Esau came in, and when Esau heard his father work, then Esau came in now. He said, "I'm here. I finished the blessing, and I came to give you." And he said, "My father, sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing." And his father Isaac asked him, "But who are you?" And Esau replied, "I am your son." He answered, "Your firstborn, Esau." And Isaac trembled violently and said, "But who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." So when Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing," your brother being in Jacob. Esau said, "Isn't he rightfully named Jacob? He has deceived me." And the King James Bible says supplanted, which means deception, deceive. "He has deceived me these 2 times. Here it is. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." And then he asks, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" So I'll stop at that one. Now, those are 2 events that we talk about that Jacob went through. The first one, he got Esau's birthright, and the second one, now he got Esau's blessing from his father. So in between there, a lot of things happen with Jacob, but it comes now to chapter 32 now. And here's what happened in chapter 32. Jacob, after he deceived Esau and deceived his father and got the right, he had to run. He ran away and he went and he got involved in all kind of things and got wise and etc. etc. But now in chapter 32, something has happened. After his brother is ready to meet him again, and the night that before the brother comes, he went to bed, and here's what happened. That night, the Bible said here in verse 22 of 32, that night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone. Verse 24 says, so Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. And when the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And the man asked him, what is your name? And Jacob, he said, Jacob. And then the man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome. Guys, ladies, whoever will watch this, today I want to share with you quickly that there's power in your name. There is power in your name. A name is important. Jacob's name meant supplanter, deceiver, trickster. And he was walking in that name and doing exactly what that name was saying. First, he tricked his brother. He got his birthright. And secondly, he went and tricked his dad and got the blessing from his father. And here's what happened with his life. And after all of that, everything was going for him uphill, downhill. Until he came to the place where he met God, when he met God on that night when he slept. The Bible said it was a wrestle with God. It was angel of God that he met on that night. And when he wrestled with him, and then the angel of God, when they asked him, what is your name? He said, Jacob. And that was important. And the reason why, and as Jacob wrestled and he was asked, what is his name? And God said to him, God being represented through this angel, said to him, your name will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, because Jacob represented the supplanting, the trickery, the everything. What I want to get over to you, men and ladies, we come along with nicknames. Some of you call yourself thug. Some call yourself a crip from the blood. You call yourself killer. You call yourself doozer, bulldozer. You put tattoos on yourself and you identify yourself with things that are evil. And let me tell you, those things have an influence on your life. And it is no surprise then when sometimes you end up in bad situations because you are walking in the name that you have given yourself or you have allowed people to give you. And so this morning, I want you to know that if you want to change your game, you have to change your name, right? And when you end up now in Dawes, when you end up in Dawes and those places, then people start to call you jailbird and start to call you prisoner and convict and all of those things. And sometimes this is why people come back into the pen. That's why some people come back, because they're still walking in that name. And I want to tell you this morning that you would always walk in that name unless you take a stand like Jacob and wrestle with God and say, God, I will not let go until you bless me. What I want to get over to you in this power word and this power second, that you have to want a name change. And you have to want a name change, not necessarily John or Michael that your mother call you, but the name that identifies you on the block, the name that identifies you on the street, what it is that is identifying you. It is that thing that has been identifying you that caused you to get into trouble in the first place, because you were walking into that name. I know what I'm talking about, because I myself, as I've told many of you before, I am from the hood. Oh yeah, I'm from Hollywood. So I know what it is to have names. And to this day, people are still walking into those names that were given to them from a childhood. And today I want you to break that cycle and make a decision that you are going to have a name change. Not only are you going to have a name change, you're going to have a change, definitely. And Jacob, it caused him his hip. The Bible said that he would not let go. He said, I will not let go until you bless me. And then the man broke his hip, and his hip was broken, and then he was walking with a limp. But he was walking with a limp, but he had a name change, and he changed his life, and he changed around forever. I want to encourage you this morning that you can change. You don't have to walk in the name that was given to you. You don't have to be a bully. You don't have to be anything that the world has labeled you, that the guys on the street have labeled you. You have to make a decision that you want to change. And it is when you make that change and you change from gangster, from thug, or from whatever name that you have identified yourself with, and you decide that you're going to walk with God, you will see how your life will change around. The Lord bless you real good this morning. God, I pray this morning that you will bless these men that will watch this video. You will bless these women that will watch this video, and you will help them to get to understand that a name change is important, and that they will not walk in that name that was given to them and that label that was given to them, but they will seek you and would not let go until you bless them. The Lord bless you real good, and I'll see you next time on this Power Word.